Stepstones. The Stepstones are a chain of about a dozen or so islands, along with smaller islets, located east of Dorne and just west of the coast of Essos, in particular, the region known as the Disputed Lands. They are infamously filled with pirate dens, an uncontrollable border zone periodically fought over by different free cities and even the Seven Kingdoms but not really controlled by anyone. Pirates, sell sails, and sellswords that infest the Stepstones prey on merchant shipping that passes through them into and out of the narrow sea. According to myth, Westeros and Essos were once joined by a great land bridge, known as the Arm of Dorne, across which the first men invaded Westeros. The Children of the Forest destroyed the land bridge with magic more than 10,000 years ago, leaving behind only the shattered islands as evidence of its passing. In the present day, the Stepstones mark the border between the Narrow Sea to the north and the Summer Sea to the south. The free city of Triarchy is located on the northeasternmost island in the chain. House of the Dragon, Season 1. Corlys Velaryon informs the small council that the Triarchy, under the leadership of Kragas Drahar, has conquered the Stepstones. King Viserys I Targaryen says this sounds like good news, because the Triarchy will finally wipe out all the pirates that have been infesting the sea lanes there. Within 6 months, however, it becomes apparent that this was simply replacing one problem with another. The Triarchy itself started raiding Westerosi shipping through the Stepstones, including vessels flying the banner of Lord Corlys himself. When he protests this to the rest of the small council, they are unwilling to provoke an open war with the southern free cities. Meeting later with Viserys' younger brother Daemon Targaryen, Corlys proposes that he join him in a private war to take control of the Stepstones from the Triarchy. Antiquity. According to legend, the Stepstones are remnants of the Arm of Dorne, a land bridge which once linked Westeros and Essos. More than 10,000 years ago the first men used that land bridge to cross into what is now known as Dorne to begin their invasion of Westeros. During the breaking, the Greenseers of the Children of the Forest are said to have used magic to shatter the land bridge into an archipelago named the Stepstones, located between the Broken Arm and the Disputed Lands. The Freehold of Valyria established Triarchy as a military outpost to control trade near the Stepstones. Slavers from the Stepstones captured the Wolf's Den at the mouth of the White Knife during the reign of King Edric Stark, and pirates from the Isles also sometimes attacked the eastern Riverlands and Vale of Arryn. There are pockets of Rhoynar on the islands dating back to the migration of Nymeria's 10,000 ships. Disputed territory. Whatever control the Valyrians may have once exerted over the Stepstones collapsed after the doom of Valyria, and pirates apparently thrived there during the chaos of the subsequent Century of Blood. By the time of the Targaryen conquest, 1 century after the doom, the Stepstones were already home to a large number of pirates. The Seven Kingdoms and the Free Cities have fought for control over some or all of the islands, but these gains were always temporary. Myr and Lys of the Free Cities have constantly engaged in wars over possession of the Stepstones. Pirates attacked Cape Wrath during Aegon's conquest. In 8 AC during the First Dornish War, raiders from Dorne also attacked Cape Wrath with the aid of a pirate king from the Stepstones. In 29 AC and in 30 AC, Prince Maegor Targaryen, Lord Ethan Velaryon, and Ser Osmond Strong led a punitive campaign to the Stepstones to drive out corsairs led by the pirate lord Sargoso San. Pirates from the Stepstones participated in the ill-fated Fourth Dornish War in 83 AC, in which their entire combined fleet was burned in a single day by the Targaryen dragons. Afterwards the pirates of the Stepstones were less troublesome for some time. The losing faction of the Myrish bloodbath settled on the Stepstones in 92 AC, and became little more than pirates themselves. They were soon driven out, however, by the Archon of Triarchy, who had made a common cause with a league of pirate kings. The Myrish pirates fled west to briefly seize the east coast of Tarth, before being routed by the Targaryens. After defeating Volantis in 96 AC, the Triarchy of Lys, Myr, and Triarchy invaded the Stepstones to subdue outlaws and pirates living in the islands. While the Seven Kingdoms were appreciative at first, they came to resent the high tolls imposed by the free cities on trade in the Narrow Sea. Aided by Lord Corlys Velaryon, Prince Daemon Targaryen began a private war for the Stepstones in 106 AC, and he proclaimed himself King of the Stepstones and the Narrow Sea in 109 AC. The Triarchy rallied by 111 AC, however, allying with Corin Martell of Dorne, which was wary of the Targaryens expanding into the Stepstones. Led by Ricalio Rindun, their combined forces helped turn back the tide of Daemon's conquests, and he struggled to defend his holdings. Daemon was called back from the Isles by the death of his wife Rhea Royce in 115 AC, and he abandoned the Stepstones after becoming embroiling in other political intrigues in King's Landing. 5 other men followed him as kings of the Narrow Sea. Dance and Regency. During the Dance of the Dragons, Shirako Lohar led the Triarchy's fleet from the Stepstones for the Battle of the Gullet in early 130 AC. The Triarchy's disastrous losses in the battle led to the Daughters' War in 131 AC. When Lys and Myr began fighting after Shirako's death, Tyrosh sent Recalio Rindun to conquer the Stepstones. After killing the king of the Narrow Sea, Recalio claimed that title for himself, however. During the regency of Aegon III, Lord Onwin Peak, the Hand of the King, desired to establish a Westerosi presence on the Stepstones. Lord Alan Valyrian received the nickname Oakenfist after defeating a Braavosi fleet in the islands, but Alan's hasty attack prevented Ser Gedmund Peak from landing troops. Lord Manfred Mutun agreed to a large indemnity to avoid war between Braavos and the Seven Kingdoms, and the Sea Lord of Braavos agreed to cede the Stepstones to the Iron Throne. The islands were occupied by Recalio and Pentoshi, however. After Recalio fled to the Basilisk Isles, the Daughters' War ended with most of the Stepstones under the dominion of Dorne. Aeliandra Martell, Princess of Dorne, granted the title Lord of the Stepstones to her consort, Drazenko Rogaire. Recent history. During the War of the Ninepenny Kings, the Band of Nine conquered the Stepstones. A battle was fought here in which Maleysai Blackfyre was killed, ending the Blackfyre pretenders' threat. The conquest of the islands was a scheme of King Aerys II Targaryen which amounted to nothing. The Stepstones and Basilisk Isles have often been raided by iron-born reavers and cell sails from the Iron Islands, such as Harwin Hoare and Dalton Greyjoy. When he was 15, Balon Greyjoy spent a summer reaving in the Stepstones with Dagmar Cleftjaw, killing his first man and taking his first 2 salt wives in the islands. Asha Greyjoy was away fighting Lyseni pirates in the Stepstones when Balon, Lord Reaper of Pike, exiled Euron Greyjoy from the Iron Islands. Recent events. A storm of swords. Fighting has broken out in the Stepstones. Ser Osmond Kettleblack tells Ser Jaime Lannister he served in the Stepstones and the disputed lands with the gallant men, fighting for Lys and then Tyrosh. A feast for crows. While sailing from Braavos to Old Town, the crew of the Cinnamon Wind defends against pirates in the Stepstones. A Volantene galley barely escapes Salladhor Saan's old mother's son and Valyrian. After Cersei Lannister is arrested by the Faith of the Seven, Lord Orain Waters absconds with Cersei's Dromons. Grand Maester Pycelle believes that Orain intends to become a pirate in the Stepstones. A Dance with Dragons. Ser Davos Seaworth recalls that Salladhor abandoned the cause of Stannis Baratheon with the intent to return to the Stepstones with his remaining ships. Some of the Golden Company lands on the Stepstones. The Iron Fleet, headed to Slaver's Bay, stops for game, grain, and fresh water in the Stepstones before Victarion Greyjoy splits the fleet in 3. Strange ships are reported in the Stepstones. Arya Stark learns that Pinto claims to have once been the most notorious pirate of the Stepstones. The Winds of Winter. According to Valina Toland, a new pirate king has set up on Torturer's Deep, styling himself the Lord of the Waters, with 3-decked warships. In the books. In the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, 2 of the islands in the Stepstones chain have been named so far, Bloodstone and Grey Gallows. Bloodstone is the largest, and the westernmost, located closest to Dorne. Grey Gallows is located south of Bloodstone. A third island, Torturer's Deep, is mentioned in Arianne sample chapter of the 6th novel. The free city Tyrosh itself is located on the easternmost and northernmost of the Stepstones, though it is usually not considered when generally speaking about the Stepstones as a border zone filled with pirate dens, given that Tyrosh is a strong and self-reliant city-state controlling large amounts of territory on the mainland. Attempts by both the Seven Kingdoms and the Free Cities to conquer all of the Stepstones have failed. Apart from the fact that rival free cities are always competing over them, the local pirates and outlaws consistently resist any attempts made to impose outside rule. The Stepstones are predominantly lawless pirate dens, but all sea shipping to the northern free cities, Myr, Pentos, Lorith, and particularly Braavos, has to pass through them. Shipping from nearby Lys, and even to an extent from Volantis, is also sometimes in danger of attacks from the pirates of the Steptones. Periodically the pirates in the Stepstones grow to such numbers that fleets from Westeros and the Free Cities gather in major campaigns to wipe them out, but new pirates always replace them eventually. Occasionally, pirates from the Stepstones have even invaded the east coasts of Westeros in large numbers. During the Targaryen conquest, pirates from the Stepstones used the distraction of Aegon the Conqueror and his dragons landing to the north to invade Cape Wrath in the east of the Stormlands, though the Targaryens themselves drove them out before too long. During the reign of King Jaehaerys I Targaryen over 200 years ago, Myrish pirates from the Stepstones even seized and held the eastern half of Tarth Island, northeast of Cape Wrath and a considerable distance away from the Stepstones themselves. The Targaryens cleared them out easily enough with their dragons, but Jaehaerys I's eldest son Prince Aegon ended up dying in the battle nonetheless. Prince Daemon Targaryen briefly conquered most of the Stepstones using his dragon Caraxes and an army of sellswords and adventure seekers, and established his own kingdom of the Stepstones, his own proxy kingdom nominally independent from but allied with the Iron Throne. In truth, it was never really a functional realm in its own right, so much as it was whichever islands his sellsword army happened to control at a given time. He played at war like this for several years, repeatedly leaving and returning there, but eventually abandoned the Stepstones altogether, which collapsed back into pirate control not long afterwards. The Stepstones were conquered by Meleys the Monstrous, one of the Blackfyre pretenders, in the War of the Ninepenny Kings, as a staging area for an invasion of Westeros. King Jaehaerys too sent an army to destroy his forces before they were ready, and Meleys Blackfyre was killed in battle by Ser Barristan Selmy. In the fifth novel A Dance with Dragons and Arianne sample chapter of the sixth novel, it is reported, but not confirmed yet, that the Golden Company has conquered half the Stepstones, and that a new pirate king, presumably Oraine Waters, has set up on Torturer's Deep, styling himself Lord of the Waters. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.